today we are here to discuss Slay the Spire, the board game. So this is obviously the board game interpretation of the very popular video game, which I had never heard of until the board game came out. But now I've got it on my iPad and I've got it on my PlayStation 5, and I'm playing it. I've gotten to level 10. I'm halfway through, just on the one character. I've never played any of the other characters yet, so there's a lot more to explore on the video game. But yeah, it's a good time waster when you're currently looking for a job and you're waiting for your applications to be reviewed. So anyway,
before we get started,
make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these games, because we've been flooding now with doing reviews. We'll be posting them over time, so you won't know, because we're going to post them at probably the same kind of speed.
But I spent the night and we just knocked out a bunch of them.
Yeah, whole bunch of gaming today.
That's right.
Yesterday. So, Rob, what can you tell us about Slay the Spire?
So this is a brand new 2024 release. Plays 1 to 4 people, but let's be honest, the video game is the best way to play solo. I don't recommend playing this solo. This is definitely a co-op and multiplayer game. You can play it solo, I just don't see the point of it.
I mean, the real advantage is the fact that you get to play it with other people.
Yeah, for sure. Which is unique compared to the video game.
Yeah, that's the biggest disappointment I have in a video game, because it seems like that would be a natural thing. It's particularly the PlayStation version they could have added.
But it does play 1 to 4. It plays in 30 to 150 minutes, broad range there. Ages 12 and up. Now, it is designed by several different people. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce these. Gary Dworsky, Anthony Giovanetti, and Casey Yano. Art by Bruce Bernice, Jose David Lanza Cebrian, and Nalis Dorta. Published by Contention Games. Got a bunch of different price points here just because it's really not available because it's so hot. So MSRP is $114.99. But you're gonna have to pre-order.
Retail.
Yeah, for the retail. So you're gonna have to pre-order it, and who knows when a copy will come in. Now, Card House does have it a little bit cheaper again on pre-order for $100 straight up. And then the website, if you go to Contention Games website, it's a pre-order there, and so there's no indication on when new ones will be printed. Now, there are people selling it for quite a bit more if you have to have this game. So there are 2 Kickstarter deluxe versions, one on Board Game Geek for $600, on eBay for $524.
Oh, that's a bargain.
Yeah, so there is a fairly large difference between retail and the collector's edition. You get extra player mats, you get the sleeves for cards, you get metal money, you get the bag. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Now, the Kickstarter exclusives, you get a special die, you get a special mat for the merchant, you get some claw cards, which I haven't figured that part out yet. So there are definitely some exclusives, but I recommend if you can get the collector's edition, that one's really nice.
Yeah, I don't understand why they would have left the playmat for the... If you got all the other playmats,
I got all the other playmats, but this one.
Yeah, it makes no sense why that one was left out of the collector's edition.
And the collector's starter box is big enough to hold everything. So this box is actually a little bit smaller than the collector's version.
Now, you had to fight to get it at Gen
I did. So at Gen Con, they had 100 copies each day of the 4 days. So I wasn't able to get it the first day. I wasn't able to get it the second day. But the third day, I was like 97. Yeah. There was like 2 or 3 people in front of me that got it. I mean, after me, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was pretty close.
I was just bummed because your crowd was in my way to get to the games I wanted. It's like, I don't care about Slay the Spire at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want them out of my way so I can get the games I want.
But I think it's hot for a reason, as we'll go into. It's a great game.
So, looking at the quality of components, so you've got these miniatures that are all custom based upon the characters in the video game, and they come in a different variety of colors from red, green, purple, and blue. And then you've got like wooden token for the boot that shows where you move. It's like similar in the video game. You actually have a boot that marks your movement too. And this track looks just like the video game.
Just like the video game.
They've done a really good job of interpreting all of the cards and all of the pieces and such to look like the video game. I mean, this definitely gives you that video game feel.
Absolutely.
They had to make some adjustments to the power of the cards in order to get them to fit, to the board game.
Yeah, it's different, but it feels the same.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it has to do with the co-op mode, because the fact that everybody can pitch in on one creature.
Yeah, so your cards aren't as powerful in the board game versus the video game, but it's I think it's very well balanced.
Yeah. And then you've got, in this case, play mats. You wouldn't necessarily have those in the retail. The cards are, I didn't really pay attention to the card stock, because he had sleeves for everything. And
so yeah, the Kickstarter has like the Slay the Spire sleeves, but it didn't have all the other sleeves for the other cards, whereas the Collector's Edition has sleeves for everything.
Yeah, the cards are not bad. I don't think they have a real lumen finish. If so, it's very minor.
Well, if we look at like the potion and the artifact cards, they don't.
Yeah, I think they're just matte finished. But they're a decent card stock. You've got trays for all your pieces.
You got inlaid boards for your player boards, which are nice.
Yeah, these are nice boards, and they've. I mean, most of the, you got the little tokens from like Terraforming Mars tokens, as Miranda calls them. Your cardboard.
Some of them are kind of color specific to the characters, but it doesn't really matter.
The cardboard is it's okay. It's thin, fairly thin. You do have. I really like the little gems for the key tokens to move up the levels, which that's different than the video game. You don't really have key tokens. But that lets you get through all the way up to the final boss.
Yeah, and this is one of the Kickstarter exclusives. So you flip them over and it tells you how to get them. Yeah. So that once you use all three of them, then you can do the final boss.
I'm hoping that I'll be able to find those at some
point. Yeah,
I like those.
Of all the Kickstarter exclusives, I really like that, and that stupid mat.
Yeah, which should have been included in yours. So, as far as the component quality, I mean, you get a ton of bits.
You get a ton of cards. And there's a ton of cards that are locked.
Yeah.
So as you play through the campaign, you unlock more monsters, you unlock more powerful cards for your own personal decks. There's a ton of cards to unlock.
Yeah.
And a bunch of monsters that you unlock. So when you first start, you only have a few level 1s, level 2, level 3s, but as you play through it, you get at least double the amount of monsters that are available.
Yeah, and they have the same escalation tree as in the video game, so that's really cool. And that's what unlocks the different cards. Now, Adam, he just unlocked everything.
Because he didn't care. He just wanted to play with all the cards.
Yeah, exactly. So this is his copy we're using here.
Thank you, Adam.
Yes. So, I mean, as far as the component quality, I don't think it's outstanding. I'm probably going to go ahead and give it probably an 8, just because I think there's all the bits are the cards. The sleeves are extra, but he's got them based upon this version of it.
Right.
If I'm getting the retail, it's probably going to be less than that. It'll probably be more like a 7. But I think this version is an 8, and those key tokens are just outstanding.
Yeah, and then I think I agree with this version an 8. My version, which is the collector's version, I'm going to give it a 9 because the player mats are really nice.
Yes,
and you get one for every player as well as the boards. It's just really cool. So I'm going to give it a 9 for the Kickstarter for the collector's edition.
It's a little bit overwhelming, I will be honest, to give it an exact score because there are just so many.
There's a lot of stuff to it.
I'm just going to go with an 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
All right.
Go with an 8.
All right. Moving on to themes. So, if you're familiar, it's a Dungeon Delve theme. It's what's we call it, a rogue.
Yeah, roguelike.
Roguelike.
And that being that you die multiple times, and that's okay because each time you die, you just come back with your deck a little bit better than it was the first time. And so,
in this case, you don't really come back with your deck better. You have to reset it. And I mean, yes, you have the meow you call it. I call it meow. But the whale-looking thing that gives you some kind of a power-up. But in general, you start back with a fresh deck that's back to the starters in this case.
But you have access to stuff you didn't have before.
If you've unlocked it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what rogues do. You unlock stuff and then gives you a little bit of an upgrade the next time you go through it.
So there is a lot of setup and takedown in this game.
There is.
Because of that. Because you got to reconstruct your deck as it was at the beginning.
So yeah, setup kind of stinks, but I really like if you sit through and play like every act, or even if you don't, I I really like that there's no downtime between us.
Yeah.
Because it's almost everybody's taking their turn at the same time, or you're coordinating that if Randy does this, that allows me to do something maybe a little bit better than what I could if I didn't go in that order.
Yeah.
And so the downtime is minimal. And for games like this, that's a big deal to me because I hate sitting there watching other people do stuff.
Yeah.
And so I like that aspect of it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I like the building of my deck. What
Yes.
I don't like is, oh, I died, I have to respawn all the way back from the beginning. Or, once I've completed the missions of this game, I've now got to respawn back at the beginning again. It's yes, you unlock some more cards that you potentially gain, but your character's reset back to
but that's
fresh.
Yeah, I like that though because that's the element of the roguelike that is really fun.
Yeah.
Is just trying to build up, do a good job, and then do it again.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like the Pathfinder card game, which I wish would have done better as its sales because you built up your deck and you leveled up your character, and if you died, you didn't lose everything. You lost. You may have lost a little bit, but you would start back with pretty much the same deck.
And there's a way to save the system. So if you play through all 3 acts, you don't have to do it all at one time. Yeah. Or you can literally just play 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, but after 3 acts, it's done and you're back.
And then you start over.
It's like you retired and your son is now on the mission and doing the same thing again. It's like you're not gaining anything and going into a new mission or new story.
But I personally like that element of it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that the gameplay is very fun. I think it's very interesting what they did with this, how they made it a co-op experience while you can play it solo, I think that it is a lot better as a co-op experience on the board game. The original video game version is 1 player only.
Yeah, and it's a ton of fun.
Yeah. But
it's definitely a time consumer.
For sure.
This version has a totally different feel to it because of the fact that it is co-op. Like, you are strategizing with
each
other people at the table.
And that took you a little adjustment because you were like, I'm just going to throw all my attack in here to do this. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I can attack and kill yours, and you'll still have leftover attack that you can apply. So you didn't have to waste attack killing something.
Right.
So you got to kind of strategize and plan on how you're going to distribute your attack so you don't waste any hits. Because
but it feels like playing the video game, but in a multiplayer aspect.
Yeah,
so thematically, I think it's excellent.
As far as a translation of a video game to a board game, this is by far the best translation
I can agree
of
with
the game
that.
I've seen.
And something? I mean, typically co-op games, they're not really my cup of tea. I know they're not really your cup of tea, Dad, because
he's growing on them.
I don't like basic co-ops like
Pandemic
is the worst example, where you just shuffle a deck together and you could just flip it over and
you're
go through the cards and see if you lived or died. It's like there's no point in playing the game. It's just a matter of shuffling the deck.
Yeah, but this is a co-op experience that really does it right. Really kind of forces you to strategize and communicate with the people at your table.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I think with setup is easier than, let's say, Gloomhaven. Right. So I think that the setup is a lot better than Gloomhaven, so therefore it's a little bit more attractive than Gloomhaven. Now, Gloomhaven is a bigger game, a lot more strategy, maybe a better game overall, but because setup is a lot easier than Gloomhaven, and you can play it in less time than Gloomhaven, it's up there. I think it's as good as Gloomhaven for different reasons, but it's as good as Gloomhaven.
Well, the Gloomhaven would be more, again, one that's at least a longer mission where you're not resetting and respawning. You're continuing your mission and building up your character the whole time. This one, that's the thing. I struggle with the whole roguelike. It frustrates me in the video game. It's like I got the deck the exact way I want it to be, and I got the perfect combination of cards, and then I die by 1 point, and then I respawn, and I've lost all those cards.
Right. So what would you score?
As far as theme, I mean, it's like I said, as far as adapting the story, and not the story because it really isn't a story.
Yeah, not much of one.
And I think that's where it suffers the most. That there isn't an overarching story. You're just going in and whacking creatures and building up your character, which is fun. Don't get me wrong, but I'm probably going to give this an 8 as well because of the theme being like very scarce as far as the story. But as far as the interpretation of the video game, it does an outstanding job.
I disagree with the story part because, yes, I love my games with stories, but I don't think this needs it. You know what you're getting going in, so thematically, it's a 10 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's... the only thing that I really could think of that I was like, oh, I wish that was there was... I mean, and this is just a pet peeve. I don't know why this... affected me. Do the characters have names? They don't appear to have names.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's part of the story. There's no.
Yeah. They're nameless heroes.
Yeah. They're just you've got a character back. They have a category, if you will.
Yeah, like their class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but there's no name that's associated with it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of
name it whatever you want.
Yeah, and
that's Sheila, the blue/purple heroine.
Sure.
So Sheila.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah. And you know what? It leaves it up to your imagination.
Right.
Other than that, I cannot think of a single thing that thematically is wrong with this. Also, the cards, the art on them is gorgeous.
Yeah. So what'd you give it?
I would give it a 9.5.
Okay. Rulebook.
Moving on to the rulebook. So the rulebook is 24 pages in length. And it goes through, first of all, the components are in here, the list. It's got a QR code for a companion app, which is basically an online searchable rule book.
And it's got some of the tracks, too, for like health and stuff like that you can use it for.
So
that's pretty neat.
It's probably, we didn't use it, but it sounds like it would be a very useful tool for this.
It might save a little bit of table space.
Yeah, it's got all the components that are in the game and counts. It's got the setup section, which this is actually for Acts 1 and 2. It's shorter than it seems like it should be because it takes so long to set this thing up. But it's actually, the setup's pretty short. It's only one page with a picture page on the next side. It shows you how to set up your play area and then your deck. It goes over what's in your deck. You've got the different types of rewards that you get when you fight. Based upon the iconography, it kind of shows you what you get. But there's a lot of that. Well, there's terminology on the back, I guess, not iconography. Remove, upgrade, transform, what those keywords mean. Then the map kind of goes through how that works. And then combat, which is the biggest chunk of this, takes about 6 pages or 5 pages. Then you've got the...
that's the real meat of the game.
Examples. Yeah, that's still combat, so it's even more longer than that. Targeting for enemies. And here's your ironclad, but this is the same names that are in the video game.
Yeah.
So it's just ironclad, defect, silent, and watcher are the different classes. Then your FAQs, special card interactions, and then just basically kind of like your unlocks and achievements after that, that you can go through, and your ascension track. The ascension track only goes up to 13 in here. It doesn't go all the way up to 20, which is... the video game was up to 20. But it does have unlocks, which the other doesn't have.
Right.
And achievements that you can unlock. So then the Act 4, which is also unique to this, is that they have the final boss battle is Act 4. Interesting. There's only 3 acts in the game. There's not much to Act 4 other than fighting the boss.
Right. Who's an uber powerful boss.
Yes. It's the heart of the dungeon or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the lookup for the keywords. So
there is another rule book if you have the Kickstarter or the collector's edition that talks about the upgrades.
Right, that's what this is. And that one doesn't have page numbering there. Nope, they didn't put page numbering in this one.
You don't need them.
But it's got pictures of all the cards and kind of just showing you what is available for each class.
Which is kind of nice, too, because really, if you use rubber bands or something, you could probably reset it to factory specs. Because that'll let you know which ones are unique to pull out and make it reset back to 0, like a 0 level game.
So, yeah, I mean, one of the nice things about the way the cards work is that they have a highlight on the header that's green, so you can always tell if you've upgraded the card by flipping it over inside the sleeve. You almost have to have the sleeves.
You really do. Yeah, you'd have to. And I think, I bet that's the reason why these are probably still in the retail, is these sleeves.
I would hope so.
Because these, you don't need it, per se. They could be clear.
Yeah, because
it's just...
In order to upgrade the cards, you have to flip them over, so it wouldn't make sense to have a clear back on them. If not, you're going to buy sleeves that are solid backed. But, yeah, I mean, I think the rulebook does a good job. It's just a lot of reading. I mean, you're almost better off playing the video game to learn the game, you know, because it's that close of an interpretation.
It really is.
It certainly helps me to retroactively now, because Adam taught the game originally, to go back and look at the rulebook, because it's based upon, if I think about it from the terms of the video game, there are some differences in how some of the, like the vulnerability works, and
well, the fact that we're playing the 3 heroes, so they all have monsters that are different instead of the one that on the video game that you're fighting at the time.
Well, yeah, but also in addition, like when you apply a status of vulnerable, normally it lasts for the whole round, no matter how many hits it takes. But here it's like the first hit that goes away. So there's a little difference in how some of the things are treated, and I think it's logistically because of the fact that everybody could just dogpile.
It would be OP otherwise.
Yeah. So I can understand why they did it.
So what would you give the rulebook?
I think the rulebook is a good job. It's just a lot of reading. I'll give it an 8.
Okay. All right, so how do we play this beast?
Good question. So,
well, if you're familiar with the video game, it's actually
very easy
to learn.
If you've
but if you've not played the video game, I could see this being difficult.
Right. So you've got, first of all, you're going to get your starter deck, and you'll have 2 additional decks. One is kind of the standard upgrade cards. You're going to shuffle
and they're all
down.
gray, so that's the nice part. Your standard deck is always gray, and each deck is different. So based off of who you play.
Yeah, but then in your upgrade deck, there's gray, blue, and there's, well, I think it's just gray and blue in your upgrade deck.
I think so.
But there's also golden tickets in there, which you really want to get those.
Yeah, that's the only way to get to, well, there's other ways, but that's the main way to get to your rare cards.
Yeah, because then you have gold cards, which are the most rare. And those you can potentially get one at the beginning of the game. You can get one from completing, like going to the merchant.
Yeah.
You can buy them potentially. But there's certain things that during the course of the game, or fighting one of the bosses might give you. Certainly, when you fight the big
upgrade
boss,
at the very beginning of the game, my first card allowed me to get a gold card. Now it was random. I didn't get to pick the one I wanted, but it was still really cool.
Yeah, and when you fight the big boss, you definitely get one of the gold cards. So, there's ways to get them, but getting one at the beginning is really cool. I had sacrificed 2 life to get one, but I got to pick from 3.
Right.
Whereas you had to just
random draw.
The luck of the draw with yours, but. So you potentially get to alter your deck at the beginning based upon that little additional help you get from Meow, the giant beluga whale or whatever it is.
It's like a narwhal looking thing.
It doesn't have a horn.
It didn't?
No, it's just got 3 eyes.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's
right. It's a 3-eyed whale.
Yep. It's the mystic whale.
It's what's his name? Not Jon Snow, his brother.
Oh, Brandon.
Yeah. If he were
the
lived
three-eyed
closer
crow
to the sea instead, he would be the 3-eyed whale. So then you've got a map here, and this is kind of guides your story. There's discs that you randomize some of the spaces on, but you can go up any path you want to get to the final boss.
As long as it's connected to where you're at.
Yeah, and there's little dotted lines that take you to different locations. So first you have to always fight a first encounter with the boss, or a regular monster.
And there's first encounter cards.
Yes.
So that's separate from everything else.
Right, because they're usually weaker than the others to ease you into the game. It doesn't last very long.
No, it's the one fight.
And is the first act always that boss?
No.
This gets shuffled.
There's a couple of different ways to determine the boss. You can either roll a die, and then the number will determine what boss you get, or you just randomize it.
Okay.
So then you move up the track and once you've defeated that character, a creature or whatever, you would move up. But when you fight the creature, you're going to put a creature in front of each character. So if you played 4, there'd be 4 creatures. Plus, some of them spawn.
A lot of them
creatures.
summon additional creatures.
So you might have a whole 12 or so creatures out there you have to fight all at once.
And you have decks that represent that. So you have your decks for your regular monsters. Then you have a separate summon deck.
Yeah.
So the summon deck you look through to get what you're looking for, but that's the only way you pull from that deck.
Yep.
Then you got the mini boss.
Yeah.
And then you have the elites, and then you got your big boss.
So each space you go will either have one of those monsters to fight, an elite to fight, or you got events along the way.
And those can be good. They can be bad.
Usually they're actually pretty good. And sometimes you'll end up turning into a monster fight, though.
Yeah.
And then there's also chests halfway up the track where you just get a free, what do we call it, an art?
I don't think it's an artifact. Or it's just a treasure, but they're usually something that stays in play and gives you some kind of perk.
And
whereas potions,
getting as many of those as you can is really good because they're not one-time use. You can keep using them, and some of them are really powerful.
Really powerful.
And one of the things is you're limited to number of actions you can play per turn when you're in a battle. So getting the ones that give you additional actions is really cool. But sometimes, I think most of them will, if it's an ongoing one where you get it every turn, they'll have a negative penalty.
So like this artifact gives me 1 coin at the end of combat, but you can also buy them if you do a merchant action.
And there's also, the ones that have actions will have you can't get gold anymore. And it's like, okay, do I want to sacrifice being able to go to the market for the rest of the game at this point? Or the worst one in my case, on the video game anyway, I don't know if it's in the board game, is you can't see. I guess you couldn't put it in the board game because it wouldn't work. The one where you can't see what the monsters are going to do for that round.
Oh, that would suck.
Every round.
That would suck.
That one is awful. I'll never take that one. But the ones that I don't use that often, I'm like potions. I don't necessarily need potions in the game, so I'll sometimes sacrifice that or the ability to upgrade.
But some of the potions are really good too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But if I had to choose one to sacrifice, I'd choose that any day over not being able to see what the
for sure
creatures do.
Yeah.
Just getting those artifacts and accumulating them is really powerful.
It can make a huge difference.
And then there's also obviously the market locations where you can go and you can buy cards. Either there's artifacts out there's potions out there. You can pay to remove cards from your deck if you want to get rid of your starters. And there's also ones where you can buy some of your cards from your pile. Or there's ones where there's central neutral cards that you can buy as well.
And the cards at different levels, so like gray, blue, and gold, and they all cost different amounts to get them.
Yep. So, that's basically the different encounter types you're going to have. And then when you're inside of a battle, you're going to basically draw 5 cards from your deck, shuffle each deck each time. There's a lot of shuffling in this game, so you're going to be, each time you battle, you're going to be reshuffling your deck from, so you're really going to need the sleeves to protect for that reason too. And then you're going to have to decide how you're going to allocate your action points that you have to power up your abilities.
Yeah, that's the tightness of the game. Yeah. You only get so much energy. Now, each character's energy is represented differently. Like, I had a different type of energy than Alex. But, you start with 3, and unless you get some cards, that's all you get.
Yeah.
So you're very limited on your actions. So that's the meat of I think the strategy of the game is knowing what to spend to either help your people playing the game or yourself.
Yeah. And then you kind of plan together with your teammates how you should allocate that best to minimize the amount of damage you're taking or maximize the amount of damage you're doing to your opponents. And to figure out, this person's low in health, maybe we all need to focus on killing their creatures to get them out of the way so they don't take damage. I know early in the game Alex got into a bind with health, so we had to help him out, get him out of that bind. And then
eventually was able to raise his health back up, but the boss still beat us.
Yeah, the boss took you and me down both, I think. And Alex, I thought you were the only one who was surviving.
No, because he would have died. I would have stayed alive.
Oh, you would have? Okay. So, but if anybody dies, the game's over. We lose. Right. So you got to keep everybody alive. Yeah. Which is good because there's nothing worse than in a co-op where it's a long game and you die right away and you just sit there watching while the others play.
Yeah.
So, I like the way combat works in this, and, it works very similar to the video game, except for now it's co-op, and you can allocate it to help other players, so you don't have to focus on just yours.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like it's a little bit more difficult than starting level, but not anywhere near the higher echelons of the levels where they were like making levels that were not fully play tested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The app I think was vetted up to level 4.
Uh-huh.
So I'm level 10 now, so I'm above what they ever vetted to see if it's reasonable that you should be able to play this. So, I have to get the perfect storm to happen in order to survive for a level in that game on the video game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like I said, I think this is done extremely well of translating the video game over. I think that if you are a lover of Slay the Spire, obviously, or if you like just dungeon delves that are your
good co-ops.
Yeah, and you like playing co-op, this is a great game.
Really good game.
If you are someone who wants to just play it solo, there's no reason to play this game solo, in my opinion. Just get the app, because it handles all of the maintenance. So
it handles all the maintenance, and I think overall, I think it's more fun. And you got the animation and the graphics and all that stuff too.
Yeah, well, see, I have more fun playing games with people, so
I do too. But I'm just saying, if I'm playing solo, I want to have more fun playing the app.
It's just because I don't want to deal with all the administration overhead. That's that's the main reason I wouldn't play it video. I don't play solo board games,
right?
And that's the main reason why. I just don't see a point, because a lot of them are just, did I reach a certain goal, and if so, yay, pat myself on the back.
Yeah, that used to be the case. I think they're done a lot better now, but either way, I still think the app is better for solo. But this is an excellent game.
Yeah. So I can see why this is as popular as it was. I kind of wish I'd known about it and backed it back in the day when the Kickstarter was out, and knowing what it was. I had no idea what this game even was, or that it existed at that time.
And I saw the Kickstarter. I thought, man, that would be cool. But either I didn't have the money, or I was like, I like the video game, but do I like it? I didn't think it'd be that good of a board game translation. So I was very happy to get it at Gen Con.
But yeah, I mean, nowadays, if I'm not playing a board game with somebody on my iPad or playing it physically, and I've got time to kill, I'm playing this. It's the thing. This is what I'm playing on my iPad. So given that, and the fact that this is an incredible interpretation, I'm going to give this one, I think, a 9.
Okay. What do you think?
I think that this is dang near perfect, if not perfect. I'm going to say 10.
Okay. The only reason I'm not going to give it a 10 is because of the fact that you can play this solo, and it's not as good as the app.
Okay.
If they would have done something a little different to make the solo version feel a little different than the board game and make it more worthwhile to play this version solo, it'd be a perfect 10. But it's like a 9.85. I mean, it's almost there for me.
Well, I will say, though, if I had to choose between this and Pathfinder card game, I'd pick Pathfinder card game.
Okay.
As far as these kind of games.
Yeah.
That game hit me the right way. It has the build-up of the cards, but you also have dice combat. And I've just loved that game, and it's nothing more frustrating than the fact that we got to the halfway point, we get to level up our characters in the story, and then never got to play it again.
Right.
So
I didn't get that experience because I have the newer version, but I've not found a group of people willing to play it with me.
Yeah.
So this, I guess, because of the popularity of the video game, I could find people to play this game with me.
Yeah.
And so I think that edges it out for me.
Okay. Well, either way, it's darn great scores for this game.
It's fantastic. Highly, highly recommended.
So definitely, if you can swing the price, because it is a pretty hefty price point.
It is,
and certainly,
but you get a lot of game for your buck.
I don't care how great a game it is. I would not pay $500 or $600 on eBay for this.
Nope,
that's crazy. So wait till it comes out. It will come out. They will. There's so much demand for this. They're not going to not print
I agree.
more. So just wait for it to come out. I mean, rumbling is October, November time frame. They'll be getting another shipment out there somewhere. So just wait, grab it. If retail is still not going to be a bad version.
No, I think that they'll still have all the great elements that we like about the game. It's just you might be missing out on some of the pretty stuff.
Yeah. Now I will say, if you wanted the Kickstarter, you're probably going to miss the boat, because I don't know. This may be something that they add an expansion for. I mean, I don't know how, given the fact that the video game doesn't have
unless they expand the video game, that gives you more material to add to the board game.
Yeah. because that's what they'd basically probably have to do in order to make an expansion where they would re-release it with the Kickstarter edition, unless they just decide to do another Kickstarter for the special edition version.
And that's possible. Yeah, they do that. They've done that for like Gloomhaven. So.
Yeah. So, all right, well, that's our thoughts on Slay the Spire. If you got a chance to pick it up at Gen Con or got a chance to pick it up retail even, let us know what your thoughts are on it. If you have a particular dungeon delve game that you like that, is not necessarily Gloomhaven, because everybody I know likes that one, but, anything that you got to share that, was one that you enjoy, let us know, because, I know we've got lots of people in our group that like to play them. It's not really my cup of tea, particularly in general, but this one I enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, you keep on slaying, and we'll keep on playing.
Bye.
Bye.